The last couple of days, I've heard this word, Indian economy is a dead economy, and I was angry. I was not happy hearing this. And I was very curious to know as to what is this word called dead economy is all about. I scanned through many dictionaries of economics. There's no word which is called as dead economy. It is probably colloquially, somebody may just call it a dead economy which is in stagnation, economy which is in deep depression can be called as a dead economy. But I think I'm really concerned about this word being used loosely about an economy which is India. It's dead economy. I am not sure. Is it a dead economy or dreaded economy? I'm not sure. Dreaded economy, and that's why some people may just call it as a dead economy. Dreaded, maybe, never know. I was also reminded of Mark Twain, his famous line, 1897, often quoted, "The report of my death was an exaggeration." He was alive in London while American press reported that Mark Twain is no more. I think probably he was right when he said that report of my death was an exaggeration. I am also reminded of a very famous line. I'm sure you must have heard about it. कहते हैं ना कि first they would ignore you, then they would laugh at you, then they fight you, then you win. Maybe in some stage of this nature that we are having, where they ignored us, they laughed at us, they're fighting us probably, and then we win. That's the pathway that one goes. And we should not worry about this word being referred as a dead economy or whatever that you may call it. In fact, I have got 5 very solid points to give all of you to understand that we are definitely not a dead economy. And with an economic reference for this, and I think I can share this or I can say this with full confidence. And just giving 5 points, there can be 50 points I can give you that proves the point that India is not a dead economy. In fact, if we look at these 5 points, I suppose first I can possibly take up is that we are a really big size economy that we have got. We have the highest growth rate amongst those elite club of trillion economy. And I think it goes without saying. IMF, actually, if I can quote IMF, there cannot be a better position to look for it. And then IMF refers India as the bright spot, isn't it? And we talk about the growth rate. We have got a growth rate in April. IMF projected that when they had this World Economic Outlook, they projected India's growth rate is likely to be 6.2% and 6.3% next year. But then, very recently, I think a few weeks ago, the recent update of IMF that we have got, they have upped it to 6.4% for 2025 and 2026 also. Our growth rate is projected as 6.4%. And it's a serious size of economy that we have got. $4 trillion plus, 4.19 trillion US dollar as per the nominal GDP that we have got. 4,000 billion. While the trade surplus that we have with the US is under 50 billion. Can you imagine that? I think it's about 44 billion. And here we are talking about 4,000 billion plus economy that we have got. We can't really be worried about such trade surplus of under 50 billion, while we are an economy of 4,000 billion US dollar, the nominal GDP. And to hammer it strongly, I must add here that IMF, while it has upped by 1 notch, like our growth rate to 6.4%, they have given reasons why they're saying that. And I think only 2 reasons I would like to share. One is that the reform momentum has been maintained consistently for quite some time for India. And that is one very big point. Consistency is required. And second, we have a robust domestic consumption. No wonder IMF calls India as the bright spot in the global economy that one can imagine. The second reason that we can identify is early last year, I think it was January 2024, that we were identified by World Economic Forum as one country which is likely to become the third largest economy. We just became some time back as the fourth largest economy. And then World Economic Forum report 2024, I think January, they said that India is likely to become the third largest economy in the next 5 years. So that's the second point that we have got. A dead economy cannot be growing at such a speed that it can possibly grow faster than the other competitors ahead of it. Third, and that's a really a big point in my reasoning of saying that India is a powerful economy, is because that we have got we have our demographic window of opportunity, demographic dividend, or whatever you call it, is going to be open for a long time. Until 2021, I would say, we would have 2041, I'm sorry, until 2041, we would have our demographic window of opportunity would be open. That means we have got quite some time to capitalize on our demographic dividend, a decade and a half that we have got to capitalize on our demographic window of opportunity. And our domestic consumption is really going to be a very powerful tool that we have got, and that will fuel our growth. And I can promise you one thing: India will become rich in the developed countries' perspective before it becomes old. So the youth that we have got, the power that we have got, and then I am sure World Economic Forum and the agencies of such nature, they have really projected that India is likely to become very is the future workforce. I mean, if I'm quoting World Economic Forum, India is the future workforce and the future consumption base of the world. And then you cannot call this country as a dead economy. That's impossible to even think like that. And I am promising India will become rich before it becomes old. Second, third, fourth point. We have a robust remittance. Don't forget that. There's a lot of Indians, and then we are the world's largest remittance economy, one can imagine. And then 135 billion remittance that came only last year, 2024-25. And it is having an amazing growth rate of 14%. Think about the kind of trade surplus and the worry that we have some people finding as a reason for calling India as a dead economy. I suppose we have got 135 billion remittance only last year, growing at 14%. And we have a good reserve also. Our forex is 690 billion US dollar plus that we have got in our coffers line. Forex reserve, that's really remarkable. I think if you look at that, remittance, if I can look at this figure, remittance 135 plus billion US dollar. I think it's a quintile of the total merchandise export that we have got. Total merchandise export, roughly 16-18% of a quintile of that we have got coming in the form of remittance also. And that's a very solid point of India's roots lying in so many places from where we would be having our economy sustaining. The fifth point, and that's to my understanding, look at the past that we have had. We have always history of thriving whenever we have got stress. I think I remember supercomputers when the world denied, we could develop our own. GSLV, when we had this cryogenic engines were denied, we developed our own. Nuclear energy, when we were like having so many sanctions, at that time also, we bounced back. There's no reason that we cannot reinvent ourselves once again. Even in 2008, when we had this, an invitation came to us for joining the club of global recession. We sent our regret letter. Thank you, we are busy, we're not coming, you're not joining. We did not join the. So whenever the stress comes, whenever the challenges come, India's bound amazing. And that gives me a lot of confidence. In fact, I feel at times thanking those people who have been talking our country as dead. In fact, they are reminding us, hey, do remember your potential. And it's not a dead economy. Maybe it's a traded economy. And then I suppose the story of a dead economy is dead. For India, it is just the beginning. And I can assure that. And then we are no more a sleeping elephant. We have been always referred as, we are a young titan. And that's my promise. We'll become rich before we become old. All the best.